Hi, Marcos. Thanks for joining us. So, as we've seen, supporters of former Brazilian President Bolsonaro breached the buildings of Brazil's Congress, and it seems reminiscent of what happened on January 6, 2021 in Washington, D.C., where Trump supporters breached the Capitol building. What are the parallels here, in your view?
I mean, the parallels are many. They didn't just breach Brazil's Congress buildings. They've breached the Supreme Court and the presidential palace, equivalent to the Supreme Court and the White House in the US. So there's a lot of parallels to be drawn. First of all, these protesters, one of the parallels that can be drawn is that many said Antifa and other left-wing organizations might have infiltrated protesters to cause vandalism, and I've been talking directly to protest sources, to organizers of the protests in southern Brazil, and what they tell me is that they intended to go there peacefully, but infiltrated people have led the more radicalized protesters to invade and do acts of vandalism. It's still being investigated. I can't confirm if that was the case, but that's what the protest organizers are saying about the violence. Now, another parallel I think it's worth drawing is that after January 6, US justice, especially the Democrat Party in Congress, did try to get Trump associated to it and did try to indict Trump or try to get him not to run in 2024. And what we're seeing so far is that Lula has already talked about Bolsonaro being allegedly involved, has blamed him for part of what happened. And I think we're likely to see the local left wing trying to stop Jair Bolsonaro from running to re-election in 2024. I think those are some of the parallels there. What I think is most concerning is the fact that this episode might be used to disenfranchise the whole of the Brazilian right wing, which already has moderates after this basically fleeing from that position.
Well, for President Lula da Silva, what kind of challenges lie ahead for him?
I mean, the challenges are huge. Half of the population, about half of the population, didn't vote for him. It was a razor-thin victory for him on the second round on October 30th. And a large part of the opposition feel the elections were not legitimate. Let's not forget Lula had been convicted on corruption and money laundering charges. And he was released by a Supreme Court justice nominated by the Workers' Party, Edson Fachin. And this Supreme Court justice used to be a Workers' Party activist before he went into the Supreme Court. This was the man who got Lula out of jail, not on the merits of the accusations, but on procedural grounds, that the process wasn't conducted in the way that it should. So a lot of people feel that him even running wasn't legitimate. And I think the main challenge to lie ahead is how is he going to get his government to be able to proceed without having to resort to authoritarian law enforcement, because the protesters do not seem to be willing to give in. Very, very hard situation for his administration right now.
Well, Marcos Schott, editor-in-chief of Epoch Times Brazil, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Jane.